If you're a newly qualified nurse or a nurse generally that feels stuck in your profession and you're looking for growth and you don't know where to start from, this video is for you. Come have a seat. Let me give you the tea. If you're new here, welcome. My name is ZVE-10. I'm a YouTuber based in England and I do videos on fashion, beauty and lifestyle, occasionally on nursing. Today's video is purely going to be about nursing profession, my fellow Florence Nightingale sisters. I'm just here to give you the tea on how to level up in your career. If you'd like to hear more, just keep on watching. I've been a nurse for a while, a little over 10 years, and I've been in England for almost 4 years now, and I am currently a band 6 practitioner. I don't want to give away my profession yet because it's one of the points that I'm going to give you for this video. I'm going to try and make this video really quick, straight to the point, and just give you all the information that I feel like you're going to need for the fight ahead, because it's definitely a fight ahead. If you're nursing and you're looking to level up your career in the UK, I feel like this point is going to be very helpful. A lot of these are things that I have experienced in my career. I've just kind of noticed it and I've learned the hard way. Some of the information I'm going to share here today are advice from friends who has been here longer than myself, gone through the same part, and the stuff that they did to help them cross the line. That's basically all I'm going to tell you in today's video, so let's jump right in. So we're talking about nursing profession and how to level up or move on to an internationally trained nurse that moves from anywhere in the world to the UK. You start, most cases, 99% of cases, you start from the lowest level, which is like a band 5, and you're not able to qualify or even progress to band 6 for a while, depending on the hospital, what specialty you're in. But most people start off on a band 5 in mostly like medical ward, surgical ward, A&E, and it's very difficult for them to grow. So these are the few things that you need to do to be able to level up in your career and move to the next step. But without blabbing so much, let's jump into the video. The first thing you need to do is to figure out what specialty that you want to join or you want to get into. And by that I mean there's so many specialties in nursing that you don't have to do bedside if you don't want to do bedside. If you choose to remain in bedside, you can also do bedside. It just depends on you as a person. What do you want out of life? And by life I mean like your work life. Where do you see yourself in the next 15-20 years? Do you see yourself doing the same thing every day, or do you want a little bit of experience in something else, or experience trying out other things? So just this is like a question you have to ask yourself first before jumping into any specialty. And I understand that for a lot of internationally trained nurses who move over to the UK, they don't really have a lot of say in what department or what specialty that they start in. You're kind of like thrown into where it's needed and you have to just get on there, but that's fine. Give yourself at least 6 to 8 months and get to learn the environment, learn about the hospital, and ask a lot of questions to see what it is that you want. If you're able to get all the information ahead of that, then you kind of like have a clear direction or path of how you want to move on. So that's first things first. The second thing is for you to decide, again, under like what specialty or how you want your life to be, if I should say. Decide what kind of nursing you want to do. Do you want to do bedside nursing, or do you want to do a non-bedside nursing role? AKA, do you want a 9 to 5 nursing, or do you want a 12-hour shift nursing? So that is a question for you to answer. It helps to have a taste of both worlds to kind of understand the implications of each side. Obviously they all have pros and cons, but you have to kind of decide for yourself what you want, and that will sort of guide you into whatever role that you want to be in. So that's number 2. And the third thing is what to do before choosing a specialty. There are pros and cons to the job, I'm going to be very honest, but I actually quite like my job and I enjoy my job. I wish that I can have that and have maybe once a week clinical, once or twice a week clinical experience. I feel like that would be the perfect combination for me personally. It's a really fun job. So we basically teach simulation. Simulation is using mannequins to recreate critical conditions or scenarios in medical healthcare and have the candidates kind of go through those scenarios so that they'll be able to identify it early on in real life and know what to do in real life. It's kind of just having eating your cake and having when it comes to having clinical experience. But however, instead of real human beings, you do this with mannequins. We have high fidelity, mid fidelity, and low fidelity mannequins. In my hospital we have mostly high fidelity mannequins. that mimic a lot of human capabilities, and it's really interesting. There are a lot of things you can do on that job. I've certainly learned a lot from that job. I've learned so many things like airway management. I've learned, you know, so many things. Let's not go into details of all the stuff that I have to do. I've learned on the job. And another thing to point out is in nursing, adult nursing particularly, not just adult anyway, but like in nursing in general, you're limited to specialty, especially when you work on the wards. You get to see a certain kind of patients, a particular type of patients day in, day out, and you might be stuck with a patient for as long as 1-2 weeks. You know, you don't really get that diversity of seeing different clinical experience, except if you work in places like ITU, A&E, acute emergencies and stuff like that, acute ambulatory units, on other departments that are close to A&E. So those are places where you get to experience different patients with different clinical presentations, if I should say. You don't really need a lot of qualification for this job. It's from a band 6 role as a nurse, which is also like an upgrade to whatever it is that you want. And I like that the job has non-medical benefits. You can literally work as a simulation practitioner anywhere else in whatever industry that uses simulation, and there's a lot of that in like in the airline industry, engineering and stuff like that. So that's something like to keep in mind. The cons of the job, I would say, again, it's a Monday to Friday kind of job, or at least 4 days a week. So you don't have a lot of time or flexibility to maybe like pick up extra shifts, or you only have like a weekends off, which for some people that might be okay. Some people it might not be okay. If you're used to working 3 days a week and now having to work 5, that's a lot of shifts for you. So that a lot of people might not like that. There are people who prefer to work night shifts. You don't do night shifts or weekend shifts or bank holiday shifts. So you have that. If you like a little bit of clinical excitement, the high from clinical settings or experience, you're not gonna get that with this job because this is purely like a teaching role. That's another downside of the job. I'm going to move on to the next one. The next one is sexual health nurse or sexual health practitioner. This is a very interesting job, and it's something that was very interesting to me, but the only reason I didn't like it was because it has to deal with me seeing a lot of people's private parts, and I think long term it's going to put me off, and it's not something I want to do. I like that the job has a little bit of autonomy when compared to a lot of other nursing jobs, because you don't have that amount of autonomy in nursing jobs. It's a very niche specialty role, and you can get as high as becoming a HIV nurse, a nurse consultant in that role. You will have the opportunity to do medical prescribing or non-medical prescribing, I think, in that role. So there's a lot of opportunity in that role, and of course you can work anywhere from sexual health clinics to, you know, to private companies and pharmaceuticals. These are options that are out there for you. You're not stuck with the NHS. How do you get into this role? Like I said, this is a very niche specialty role. So obviously from a band 5 position, you would need to have the competencies done. They have their own core competencies or core clinical competencies that you need to meet before you can progress. So you can progress up to a band 7. I have a friend who's currently a band 7 on this role, band 7, band 8 to managerial positions. It's very interesting. It's very lucrative, and I'm not sure about the popularity of it in England, but I know that in my trust we do have, like, they have their clinic all over London. There are lots of jobs available for you, and I reckon that everywhere in England they would have that. So I don't think sexual health is mundane. I feel like there are a lot of exposure in this part of the world about sexual health, so you're always going to have a job. And again, you're not limited to the NHS. You can have jobs wide as far as pharmaceuticals, which is very interesting, and the pay is quite good as well. One thing I would advise again is to look up in your hospital, do they have the department? Give them a call, go and do like a shadow day with them, ask them lots of questions, and obviously if you see a position, apply. You would, if you're band 6 looking to switch into that position, you may have to step down to a band 5, or at least be willing to discuss with them to do all your competencies in a short period of time. It depends, it's very dependent on whatever trust you're working in and how the department runs, but that there's a possibility in that. And obviously, like if you want to step down, if you do your competencies, like you said, it's a specialty role, and a lot of specialty roles start from a band 6 position. So it's a matter of you getting your competencies done and then moving forward. The last one on my list is a digital nurse. Digital nurse. I'm laughing because I remember seeing an advert for a digital nurse in my hospital, and I did try to apply for the job and all of that, but I didn't get shortlisted for that role. But it's a very interesting role. I did a presentation on how to digitalize the NHS, and it was one of even though I didn't get the role, they made a lot of emphasis on my presentation and how I broke down the presentation and stuff like that. So again, this is like a 9-to-5 role. You don't work on weekends or bank holiday. It's a very tech side and digital side of nursing. Purely, you know, how do you use technology to improve nursing care and things like that. And I think it's going to be a very niche, obviously, like it's a very niche, but I think it's also going to be very interesting specialty, especially if you're very tech savvy or tech inclined and you're interested in things like that. I think this is a role that you have to you're going to enjoy if you end up getting into it. It would be nice to also ask a lot of questions, because I'm not quite sure what their workload is going to be like, or what their everyday day-to-day activity is going to be like. But again, this is something I would encourage you to go and ask about or find out information, which then will help you make a decision to say, is this the role for me or not for me? So I'm going to stop here. This is the end of my video for today. Obviously, if you want more nursing specialties, please let me know, leave me a comment and tell me, and I can do the research and get you as much information as possible. But I hope that this is able to help someone here today to make a decision to actually specialize, you know, go into a niche, or just even have that think about where do you think your career is taking you. Until next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.